So starting from the aorta, we have the ascending aorta, the arch of aorta, which is at the sternal angle, and the descending aorta. Descending aorta is further declassified as the descending thoracic aorta and the descending abdominal aorta. From the arch of aorta at the sternal angle or the angle of Lewis, there will be three branches. That is the brachiocephalic, left common carotid, and the left subclavian. The brachiocephalic will then divide into the right common carotid and the right subclavian artery. Now, at the sternal angle, there is a junction of the body of the sternum and the manubrious sterni. There is the insertion for the second rib. We know that the intercostal spaces are the spaces between two adjacent ribs. As such, a typical intercostal space will carry two anterior intercostal arteries and veins and one posterior intercostal artery and vein respectively. Considering the anterior intercostal arteries, the anterior intercostal space visible from front are only 9, since the last two ribs are floating ribs. Therefore, anteriorly we have 9 intercostal spaces, each of them filled with 2 anterior intercostal arteries. Basically, from the subclavian artery, a segment termed as the costocervical trunk arises, from which internal thoracic arteries run parallel to the lateral border of the sternum. The internal thoracic artery at each intercostal spaces provides 2 anterior intercostal arteries running parallel to the upper and lower borders of the respective ribs. So we know that the internal thoracic artery is a branch of subclavian artery from the costocervical trunk, runs downwards and terminates by bifurcating into a lateral musculophrenic branch and a medial superior epigastric artery. The last three intercostal spaces, that is the 7th, 8th and 9th intercostal spaces, gain their 6 anterior intercostal arteries through the musculophrenic branch and the other intercostal spaces through the internal thoracic artery. In the intercostal space, the lower anterior intercostal artery anastomoses with the collateral branch of posterior intercostal artery, while the superior anterior intercostal artery will anastomose with the proper posterior intercostal artery. The anterior intercostal veins follow the similar courses and eventually drains into the subclavian vein. However, it is to be noted that the internal thoracic artery has corresponding vena commitans, which together drains into the subclavian vein. Posteriorly, we are having the descending thoracic aorta lying on the left. From here, pair of posterior intercostal arteries arises there will be 11 posterior intercostal arteries in total. Arising from the descending thoracic aorta, there are 11 posterior intercostal arteries, one in each intercostal segment. The posterior intercostal arteries run in the intercostal segment and immediately at the angle of the rib will release another branch termed the posterior collateral branch. The posterior intercostal arteries runs forward and anastomosis with the superior part of the anterior intercostal artery, while the inferior anterior intercostal artery will anastomose with the posterior collateral branch. Out of 11 posterior intercostal arteries, 9 are derived from descending thoracic aorta, whereas the upper 2 they are derived from the costocervical trunk of the subclavian artery. It is interesting to note that the right side posterior intercostal arteries are longer in length in comparison to the left side. This is due to the fact that the descending thoracic aorta is at the left lateral axis of the body. If you look into the relations, this will be the right side, this will be the left side. The aorta is situated here. So the posterior intercostal arteries arising from the left will trace as such, and from the right in some similar manner. It is seen that the posterior intercostal arteries are covered up front by the esophagus, by the thoracic duct, and on the two sides by the azygous vein in the right and the hemiazygous vein in the left. Apart from this, the right sympathetic trunk and the left sympathetic trunk travels perpendicular to it. Cutaneous branches and muscular branches with further collaterals are supplied even. The posterior intercostal veins have a peculiar course and are not common with their respective arteries. Firstly, we'll look at the SVC. SVC is the superior vena cava and is formed by the fusion of the left and the right brachiocephalic vein, which are further formed by the fusion of the subclavian vein and the internal jugular vein. Firstly, looking at the right side of the SVC, there is a venous system of veins which is termed as the azygous venous system, or simply the azygous vein. The azygous vein is formed by every single intercostal vein of the right side except the first. The first intercostal vein will drain directly into the right-sided brachiocephalic vein. Second, third and fourth will join together to form the superior intercostal vein draining into the azygous venous system. And the others, that is 5, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th will drain into the azygous system. The 12th is also termed as subcostal vein. Coming over towards the left side, the first intercostal vein will drain directly into the left brachiocephalic vein. Second, third and fourth will again join together to form the left superior intercostal vein, draining into the brachiocephalic vein of the left side. Fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth intercostal veins will form the accessory hemiazygous vein. While the 9th, 10th, and 11th together forms the hemiazygous vein. The subcostal vein may drain alongside hemiazygous vein or directly into the azygous venous system. There are further continuations of the azygous system forming the right lumbar extension, and from the hemiazygous vein the left lumbar extension. These can form lumbar azygous veins to communicate with the IVC, that is the inferior vena cava. If there is a thromboembolic disorder above the point of entry of the azygous vein, then the blood from the subclavian internal jugular will not be able to flow into the heart. To prevent such a mishap, a secondary route is formed from the scapular anastomosis of these veins, forming communications with the intercostal veins of their respective sides. As a result, blood from these levels, that is the internal jugular and subclavian levels, will start to drain alongside the azygous vein, conducting the blood towards the SVC and into the heart, maintaining the cardiac output. IVC, even the azygous system will not be able to help maintain the cardiac output. As a result, from all these levels, the blood starts to move from the scapular anastomosis towards the axillary vein, and from which the lateral thoracic vein drains into the thoracoepigastric vein, communicating with the superficial epigastric and finally draining to the IVC, maintaining the cardiac output.